Hey everybody, this is my 10-gallon office tank, and right now all it has in it is some neons. It's got a few cories on the bottom. I've got a clown pleco, and then I've got a bunch of little endlers and guppies swimming around in here, and they just breed like crazy in here, and eventually I scoop them out and put them in other tanks and so on and so forth. So tonight I'm going to do a water change, and I really need to get in there and clear away some of that Trident Java fern in there. It's getting really thick and overgrown. When I looked in there today earlier, I was pulling a few of the little babies that were floating around out of it, and I noticed, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see what we'll call the little window in that fake cave back there. You can see fern growing right up and out the window. So the root system must go down through the gravel pretty significantly. I've got all this fern growing right up here against the glass. I'm going to snip that little section of root out of there, and then of course down here on the end it's getting really thick, and I'll probably get in there and thin that out a little bit. So we're going to do the before and the after on the video here, but I also wanted to point out to remember, I do sell my excess aquarium plants. I've already pulled a bunch of the floating water sprite out of this tank today, and now I'm going to pull a bunch of that Trident fern out of there. So I will have that available for a little while, so if you check my Gmail in the description below, you can get a hold of me if you're interested in buying any of that Trident fern. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get on with doing my water change and my plant maintenance here, so consider this part your before. And there's your after. So obviously, in addition to trimming the Java fern, I removed a huge amount of the water sprite in there, and also, very obviously, I have added this angelfish. Now this is the angelfish that was in my quarantine tank downstairs, and if you look at its anal fin, you can see how sort of blunted it is. This one was the one that came home from the big chain pet store, and it looked really rough when I brought it home. It didn't look good at all. It had clamped fins, its color was kind of dull. I saw potential for a beautiful fish if I could get it to recover, and so far so good. It's looking really good, and it's looking good enough in fact that I took it out of quarantine and I've put it in this 10-gallon tank for now. I'm hoping if it stays small, I can leave it in here. I know a 10-gallon tank sounds really small for an angelfish, but angelfish don't need a lot of room to dart and dash and swim around. If they're in a nice calm environment, as long as they can just sort of hang in the water column, and as long as you can keep the bioload under control, they don't need a ton of room. The real concern with angelfish is making sure the water is deep enough that either the top of their fin isn't sticking out or the bottoms of their fin isn't dragging the bottom all the time. That will cause issues over time. So as long as he's got enough room to just sort of hang majestically in the water column, as angelfish are wont to do, then I think it's going to be okay. Now, some angelfish get pretty substantial in size. I've got one downstairs that's about 11 inches from, top to bottom when it spreads its fins out, and that would be no good in this little 10-gallon tank. But for now, it's fine in here. And rather than keep it in the quarantine tank, I've got it in an actual real tank. The end goal was ultimately to put this one in my gourami tank with the other angelfish, and that way I'd have two angelfish in that tank. But as I said, for now it's fine in here, and if we can let that fin grow back and just kind of keep an eye on it for another few weeks or something, and if it doesn't really outgrow this tank, then I don't see any reason why we can't just go ahead and leave it in this tank. So that's about it. Don't forget, as I said, I've got a ton of this Java fern for sale now, and I've got a bunch of water sprite for sale as always. And there's your before and after. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss the updates I'll have coming up on this angelfish here, and hopefully my office tank here will get better and better over time. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.